What's up everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is the spoiler vlog for The Grace Year, which is by Kim Liggett, I guess. I am outside, I'm about to start this book. If you haven't watched one of my spoiler videos before, I just want to say that like there are spoilers throughout this whole video, so I will let you know like kind of what page I'm on when I'm talking about things in case you're like reading the book along with me. I'm like trying this out for the first time like in addition because some of you have mentioned that you've already been like using my spoiler vlogs to like read the book with me, and I thought it would just be like better for you guys if I included like, okay, like I'm at page, 100, and then that way you knew you could stop at that part of the video. So I'm gonna try that out, but I just want to say that like I will say spoilers, like I am not worried about spoiling people because it's up to you to watch this video if you've read the book already or you're just prepared for the spoilers, if that makes sense. What do I know about this book? I know that I actually didn't have much of an intention to read this until my younger sister read it last month and like raved about it, and her and I actually have like some very similar tastes in books. Like there's a couple things that like are different, but I've noticed that like we do agree a lot on different books. So once she said that like she loved it, I was like, okay, maybe I should read it because I kept hearing a lot of people rave about it. If you haven't watched a lot of my other videos, I do have a problem with like books being overly hyped for me. So I'm trying not to go into this book like with too high expectations, and I feel like I haven't given too high expectations for this just because I know that it's YA and it's dystopian, and I haven't had like good circumstances like with YA dystopians before. So I am just planning on this being like a regular 3 to 4 star book. I'm not thinking it's gonna be like over the top amazing, but that's why I'm making this video, so that way you guys can see my thoughts throughout the whole reading process. I'm going to start reading. I think that this is something about like, I don't think there's a synopsis on this book because it was an art copy, but I think it's something about like these girls who they have to go away at the age of 16 because they're like, I don't know, they can like seduce like all the guys in the land or something. I don't know, it sounds really weird, but I think that I am going to like that concept because I like, that whole like forbidden, like really taboo romance cultish type of thing. So let's just go ahead and start reading it, and I'll update you guys when I actually know what it's about. So I'm on page 34 and I'm actually really liking this book so far. I don't quite know what it's about still. Okay, so I guess the girls turn like, they're like 15 or 16 and they have this like magic and they have to go away to the Grace Year, but we don't really know what that is except that like not everybody comes back from it. But when they do come back from it, then like the guys have to pick who they want to marry, and like you don't get a choice, like you just have to go and like marry that person. I guess some of the girls that don't make it back, their remains of themselves, like ears and stuff, like they get cut up and they get sold on the black market for like youth serums and stuff, because I guess they have that like magic, and the magic is like they are able to make like anybody like fall for them or something. Like all of the guys will fall for them no matter what. I don't know, it doesn't like quite make sense to me yet. I think that's what it's trying to say, but like that's really crazy. Like that's so dark, and I really like that. I love dark books obviously, so I'm really liking it so far. I'm interested to get like further into it so I know more of kind of what's happening, because I still don't really know what the Grace Year is. I don't really know what like our main character's doing, that type of thing, but it's very intriguing so far. Gosh, I'm like so happy right now. So I'm on page 67, and what I've read so far in this book is it was like the veiling day, which is like how the husbands like choose their wives. So once the girls get to a certain age, I don't know exactly what age it is, they don't get any choice in who chooses them. But a lot of girls will like try and use the time like leading up to that to kind of like be flirting with the guys that they want to, you know, for them to choose them, if that makes sense. Tierney, who, I think that's how you say her name, Tierney, I don't know, I forget now. Anyway, she doesn't want to like get married. Like she'd rather, I think if you like don't get chosen by a guy, then you have to go work out in the fields for the rest of your life, and that's what she wants to do anyway, because she's like a tomboy and she doesn't want to have to like be the wife that, you know, the guys want you to be, because this is kind of like, it's like a feminist book where it's like, you know, these guys are just like treating these women like shit or whatever. So she doesn't want to be chosen. And I was just reading about the part of like, she did get chosen, but you don't know until the next day. So like her dad came in to this like ceremony thing and like put the veil on her. So she's like freaking out because like in her head, she thinks she got chosen by like all these like bad people, and like literally my heart was like pumping because like I actually really like her as a character, and I felt so bad. Like I really didn't want her to end up with someone bad either, because like in my head it's like, oh my gosh, could you imagine like having to be married to someone you don't like? Like that just sounds awful. And so now on this page, like I finally, like I thought that she was gonna get someone bad and she didn't. She got someone good, and I was so excited. Like I'm so glad that Michael picked her. Like I don't know, maybe it's gonna be a twist later on in the book, but right now I really like Michael because like she was actually legit friends with him, and I just feel so good that like he actually picked her. Like it's like, oh, I'm so glad. Okay guys, so I am loving this book so much. Like oh my gosh, this is such a great book. I am almost halfway through it, but I stopped reading a couple hours ago because well, number one, I'm making homemade ice cream. That's what the noise is. So I made like the ice cream, like the custard from like scratch, and then I'm gonna put these gluten-free Oreos in it. It's actually mint. I put peppermint extract in here, but I didn't have any green food coloring, so it's like grass-fed milk, so that's why it's like yellow. Shit! Gosh! Why did you scare me like that?
I didn't want to interrupt your video. I didn't want to interrupt your video. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So I also decided to run a bath while the ice cream was churning, and I like had stopped like reading because I'm loving this book so much and I just don't want it to end. Like that's how much I'm invested in this book. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, where like when you're reading a book that you really like you just want to keep reading it like forever and ever and ever. And that's how I feel about this book. It's really hard for me to do a spoiler vlog for this book because there's so many things that I don't know, like I don't understand yet, and I appreciate that, like I like that. But this book is so thrilling. Like I am on the edge of my seat reading this book. It is just so good. They got to this like, I don't even know what to call it, like this cabin thing, you know, where they're all going for like the grace year, and these girls are getting their like magical abilities, but like I don't actually know if they're getting their magical abilities. It's so weird. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's real and what's fake, but I'm so intrigued by like this whole grace year thing. I'm so intrigued. I am running a bath, and we're gonna go ahead and read more of that book while the ice cream is being made, and then I'll update you guys after my bath. But I definitely want to like stay up and finish the book tonight, I think. So let's look forward to that. Okay, I just want to stop right here and do a little prediction, I think. So I'm on page 204, and there has been multiple mentions of like the poachers who, if you go out of the gate, like they're gonna like literally gut you and skin you and like take your stuff. Anyway, there keeps being this mention of like how Tierney like has like all these near misses or whatever, like with the poacher, and I'm wondering if like that guy Hans that is like the guard or whatever. Like she grew up with him, and he like said that like he would like, he became a guard so he could like take care of her, and like he went to this like to keep an eye on her or whatever. I'm wondering if maybe he is like pretending to be a poacher, or I don't know, because like some of the girls are actually like for real dying. So because like part of me is like, what if the poachers aren't real? Like what if this is like, have you seen the movie The Village? Like what if it's like The Village, where they're like scared of like nothing? I don't know, but I have this weird feeling that like this one poacher is like a good person that we know. Maybe it's her dad. I don't know. I just wanted to predict something here for a second, because I'm at page 204. Like I'm past the halfway mark, or I think I might be right almost halfway. It's like, yeah, right past halfway, and like I feel like I need to start understanding what's going on, because at this moment I still am like I'm so intrigued. Like I have so much anxiety reading this book. It's like making my heart pump, but I still don't quite know what's going on. So I need some answers soon. All right guys, it's the next morning. I was not able to finish the book because my husband came to bed. I had to go to sleep, or not that. I was like reading in bed, and then like he came to bed, and then I felt bad for having the light on while he's trying to sleep, and then I couldn't give any updates because he's also in bed with me trying to sleep. So I just put the book down, and I decided I would finish it today. I got to page 247. So it's now the spring section, because this book is like broken up into like, it's almost like the revival of Gilmore Girls. Like it's broken up into like seasons or whatever. And there was something that I wanted to update you guys last night, and I couldn't because of my husband like sleeping right there. Now I gotta remember what it was. Oh, but I was surprised to find out about that like poacher who was like doing a favor for Tierney's like dad, and so that was very interesting to me. And then she also mentioned about how like she's wondering if it's something that the girls are like eating or drinking to make them crazy, because she says she got better like being away from them. And so I'm wondering if my prediction is gonna come true about the whole like village thing. In the movie The Village, like everything they know is like fake, and so I wonder if that is going to happen in this book. Even the back of it says magic or madness, so kind of wondering if, especially because we found out that like the people in the county are paying the poachers to like grab some of the girls and skin them. Like that's their payment. It's not that the poachers want to be mean, it's like that's their job. When the county like outcasts girls, like the poachers' families like take them in and take care of them and stuff. So I'm really thinking that it's something that the county is like doing on purpose to make girls think that they have this magic. Yeah, I don't know why they are like doing it yet, so we'll find out when I finish this book. Okay, I got a little sidetracked today with my reading. I had re-downloaded the TikTok app, which was so bad for me to do because I have spent hours
so you bagged him. I'm a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Sassy, moody, nasty. Acting stupid. What's happening? What's happening? I'm a savage.
Now all that is done and over with, I'm sitting down to finish up the last bit of the Grace Year. So I'm at page 309. I just got to the summer part, which I'm assuming is the last season in this book. So that's how much I have left. So I'm going to finish it up. I do want to be honest, like I'm not as in love with it anymore because, I don't know, there was like a whole romance part. I feel like the romance part of it is not my favorite. Like I didn't really like the poacher and her like being together, or I just didn't feel like that was like really necessary for the story. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure my thoughts because I feel like I'm not really gonna like the ending. So earlier, I know that I was gonna rate it 5 stars, but now I definitely dropped it down to a 4.5. So I'm curious to see like what the ending of it is going to be, because then that's gonna determine whether it's 4, 4.5, or a 5. I don't need a romance in my stories. I guess because I do read a lot of like thrillers. I'm not used to like romances being in the story unless it's like already a husband and wife and then they're like trying to like kill each other or something. But I don't know. I just didn't feel like it needed that element to it. I liked it the way that it was. I liked how it was like a survival story and stuff. I'm on page 342 and we just found out that like Hans is a bad person. It doesn't feel very believable though. Like I feel like that was just a very weird thing to put in here randomly, because actually before I got to this page, I was like thinking in my head, I was like, it's really weird that like Hans was mentioned at the beginning of the book, but then like he's really not in the book anymore as like a significant character. And then I like turned the page and it was like, oh, Hans is this evil person now. So I don't really like that part. I don't know. It just feels kind of like, I don't know, I can't explain it. It just doesn't feel like part of the story. It feels like, oh, I have to like put some evil thing in here, so let me like throw this twist in here or whatever. I don't know. I'm not really liking that part. I don't think I'm gonna like the ending. I don't feel like it's ending the way that I want it to. I feel like it's not as like exciting anymore. All right, you guys, so I finished The Grace Year. I think I'm going to rate it 4 stars. And a lot of that is because I didn't particularly enjoy the ending. I would say probably the last like 100-ish pages I didn't quite enjoy. So I guess let's just kind of go into like the whole synopsis in a nutshell, and then I'll tell you why I didn't really like the end part, I guess. So The Grace Year is about, it's like this dystopian young adult book, although it didn't feel super young adult. I liked how dark it was. But this book is about these girls who, I forget exactly what age. I don't even know if it was stated in the book or if it was just like on the synopsis, but I think they're about 16, and the country that they live in believes that they have to go away on this grace year so that way the girls can rid themselves of the magic that they get. Because I guess they get this magic when they're like 15 or 16, and then they send them away for a whole year to this like cabin out in the middle of who knows where, and the girls live there together for a whole year. And a lot of times not all of them come back. A lot of times like they also are missing like fingers and ears and stuff like that. So there was a lot of mystery involving the Grace Year, and no one in the county is allowed to talk about it. And this is like the Hunger Games and the Handmaid's Tale and stuff, where the women are not allowed to have like an opinion, like the guys run everything, everything's about men. And they also have this like unveiling process for how women get chosen in marriage. I guess the girls kind of like try and make friends with the guys and try and, you know, like flirt with them and seduce them or whatever, so that way they do get chosen. But during this like unveiling process, the father comes in with the veil, which means that you were chosen by somebody, but you don't know who was who chose you until the next day. So Tyranny actually doesn't want to be chosen, because then her husband is going to be in charge of her for like the rest of forever, and a lot of times the guys are like dictators, so they're not like nice husbands. And if you don't get chosen, then you have to go work in the fields, which is what Tyranny actually wants to do. Like she wants to just go work in the fields and not be like controlled by a man, even though that's going to be like hard labor and stuff, and she'll probably be like poor her whole life. That's what she wants to do. She thinks she's going to be chosen by Tommy, who is like this really rude guy her age, or she thinks that she's gonna be chosen by this like old guy who literally just had his wife like sentenced to death, and so he could get a new wife. So that's who she thinks is gonna choose her, but actually it's her friend Michael who chooses her, and she's been friends with Michael like since they were like 7, and she is mad that Michael chose her because she feels like as a friend he should have understood how she didn't want to be chosen. Like she wants to go work out in the fields, but Michael chose her because he's actually in love with her, but also because he wants to like save her and like help her, and like he doesn't want to be the kind of guy that the other guys are. So he was afraid that like somebody else was gonna choose her and then like just dictate her. So he's kind of like doing it for her. She gets chosen by Michael, and then they have to like, she has to go off into the grace year. So if you don't come back from the grace year, if your body is unaccounted for, all of your younger sisters are banished to the outskirts of the county, which is really weird to me. I'm not exactly sure why they have that rule, but whatever. Tyranny never wanted to be like part of this whole thing, so she never like made friends with all the girls. So they go and like start walking to like this cabin in the grace year, and if you don't stay on the path, then there's these poachers that skin you alive. So you have to be really careful to make sure that like you stay on the path and you don't go wandering, and that you get to the cabin like safely. But Tyranny kind of makes not so great of friends with this girl named Kirsten, and she's like a bully, obviously, and of course that's going to like ruin a lot of things in the future. So they get to this cabin thingy, and Tyranny actually like learned a lot from her dad, because her dad never had a son, and so he kind of like trained her like a son. So she like starts building a rain barrel and like, you know, getting food for them and all this kind of stuff. And all the other girls are kind of like following Kirsten, because Kirsten's all about like them receiving their magic and, you know, doing stuff like that. And so there's this whole like control issue that's going on in here. And I mean, I never went to school, so I guess this is kind of how going to school is, where you have like a bully and people follow the bullies, like they're afraid of the bullies. Like, I don't really understand that part. Like, why is it that all the girls were listening to Kirsten? Like, I don't understand how that whole like power thing works. They were following Kirsten and doing some horrible things. They ended up like, I mean, killing some of the girls. Like, they pushed them out of the gate and the poachers got them, and like all these terrible things. But what's funny is they were talking about how like the water from the well tasted funny, and that's why like Tyranny like made the rain barrel thing, so that way they could have fresh water. And later we find out that there was actually like the county was poisoning the water, so that way the girls would have like hallucinations and think that they have magic. So that's what Tyranny was saying, was like she actually got banished, like Kirsten kicked her out of the like gate thing or whatever, and that's when she like actually finds this like poacher that she falls in love with. That's a whole nother part of the story. But when she got kicked out, like she started feeling better and she wasn't as like hazy and stuff, and so she like figured out that like something wasn't right. Like there wasn't actually any such thing as like the magic. It was just the county making the girls think that they had magical powers, and they would hallucinate and do weird things and kill each other and do crazy things. Like, I'm not exactly sure why. That's one thing that I didn't understand, is like, why did the county want to do that? Like, why, if they want the women to like obviously not feel like they have power, why did they even make up the whole magic grace year thing anyway? I'm not really sure like why that was a whole thing. I feel like I would have wanted to get more history out of this book involving the grace year, but whatever. So Tyranny, she gets caught by this poacher who helps her, because like Kirsten had like almost chopped off her arm or something like that, and the poacher ends up like doing her a favor, because it's actually Tyranny's dad that helped him, and so he's like doing her a favor by like keeping her alive. And then they end up falling in love, which I felt like was an unnecessary part of the story. There's some other things that happen where like Riker actually does get killed, which it's not like I was happy that he got killed, but I do appreciate when characters get killed off, because nothing's a perfect world. And so I actually kind of like that Riker died, because I mean, it's not like I was a huge fan of him anyway. I like Michael a lot better in the book, but also I felt like this romance came out of nowhere. And so I was kind of like just glad that there was something bad in the book. Like, okay, sure, he's dead, let's move on. Then she had actually slept with Riker, so she does get pregnant with his baby, and she goes back to the girls in the camp when she finds out that the water's poisoned, and she slowly tries to like help them get better. And then they end up going back to the village or whatever after their whole year is up, and then that's when she shows that she's pregnant, and like everyone wants to like curse her and like kill her and stuff, but Michael actually stands up for her and says that it was part of the magic that she comes to him in his dreams and they slept together in the dreams. So she's spared and he actually becomes the next councilman, and then she ends up having the baby, which is Riker's baby, but it turns out to be a girl. Oh, and I forgot about the whole dream thing. So anyway, she has like these dreams about this like girl, and we don't know anything about the girl until the very end, and it's her like baby daughter that she's been dreaming about. So I felt like the dreams was another weird part. All in all, I enjoyed the book. Like, I gave it 4 stars because I enjoyed like the actual reading part of it until the end. Like, the reading part was very exciting and I had anxiety and my heart was beating at so many different times. Like, it was a very fast-paced book. It's so easy to read. But then I was missing with the ending. I thought that the romance just wasn't like necessary. There was this part with the whole Hans thing that you heard me talk about earlier that I thought was kind of unnecessary. Like, I don't know why he had to be in there and then be evil. Not sure like what that really did for the story. And then I feel like the ending, like the story was like up here and then like the ending was just like kind of down here. I wish I would have had more like history of the Grace Year and just kind of like, I guess, seen how the women are in like the county. I don't know, it felt like there was gonna be like a book 2. It almost felt like this was gonna be a series, because at the end it's talking about how like the women are starting to get like more brave. They're like giving each other eye contact because like women can't like congregate together. So maybe that's why the ending felt that way. Maybe there is gonna be a second book, I'm not sure, but I just felt like it could have ended differently and not as wrapped up in a pretty little bow, if that makes sense. It was like wrapped up in a bow, but then it still didn't have the information that I wanted. 4 out of 5 stars. Like, this book was really good. I do recommend it if you like that dystopian, like feminism, Hunger Games, The Handmaid's Tale, The Village type of book. Like, that's how I feel like this is. That's like all of those, plus also The Maze Runner. Like, I feel like all those books are kind of in this, but it's about women. And so yeah, I thought it was still a great read, and I would definitely like, you know, tell people to read it. I can see why a lot of people like it, and I could see why some people might not like it, but it's definitely all about tastes. That's it for this video. I actually, you know what? I didn't even think about what my spoiler vlog is gonna be for next month. So if you like wanna see any actual books like for a spoiler vlog, like drop them down below in the comments, because I honestly didn't even think about it. So my spoiler vlog for next month is totally open. I'll read all your comments, and if I have the book, then I can definitely make a spoiler vlog for it. So drop that down below. But I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you guys in Saturday's video. Bye everyone.